Are you in need of legal assistance? Look no further than the Prue Law Office. Our experienced attorneys specialize in family law, criminal defense, and personal injury cases. We are dedicated to providing personalized and compassionate representation to our clients. Located on the square in Waynesville, just across the street from the courthouse, call us today at 573-774-6444 or by email at pruelaw@aol.com for a free consultation. Prue Law Office, your trusted legal partner in Waynesville.
I'm on the mic. Yeah, here we go. Doug Fowler here from Show Me Streamcast, formerly known as Pulaski Talks, here in the studio with the Pulaski County candidates for sheriff, Regina Utley, Stacy Ball. Thank you so much for being in here. A couple shouts out real quick to our sponsors, Prue Law Office, making things happen for us down here in the studio. Also, Regina Utley, thank you for being a gold sponsor, keeping the lights on and so forth. I appreciate you both. Also, scheduling updates. When's the next town hall?
Next town hall is going to be October 29th on a Tuesday at 6 o'clock.
Let me see. We got it on. There we go. It'll be on the screen here in a second. You want to speak to that town hall while it's waiting for it to pop up? They're seeing it.
It's going to be held in Richland, Missouri.
On the 29th?
On the 29th at Shady Dell Park at the community building there.
Okay. And what's the whole purpose of that? Talk a little bit about it.
The purpose, we have guest speakers coming out from the county offices. Bill Hardwick, Representative Mayhew as well. We have some county officers coming out, elected officials that are going to talk about voting, the amendments that are coming up on the ballot, and then any questions that the citizens have for any of our county or state representatives.
Outstanding.
We've had a good turnout in every one of them so far. A lot of great questions.
Right.
A lot of people have been informed, especially on the amendments on the ballot this election day.
What's important? We had a great show this past Monday night hosted by the Village. Had a discussion between Yvonne Rees-Chong and Bill Hardwick. I got his name wrong. It was not Bill. It is Bill. And there's a great discussion going on. It's on the video. It's on YouTube. If you want the link, send me a link. Before I do anything further, let's do the introductions. Let's get them out of the way. We'll go with you. Let's go with you, Stace. Go and introduce yourself to everybody who hasn't seen you and known you or doesn't know who the hell you are.
Well, thank you, Doug, for having us here for this debate. I'm Stacy Ball. I'm your Republican nominee for Pulaski County Sheriff. I've been campaigning for almost 2 years for this office. I'm a retired military police first sergeant. 3 decades of law enforcement training, 12 of them, the last 12 years were in the Pulaski County Sheriff's Department, where I worked as a reserve deputy, reserve detective, then a full-time detective, a narcotics officer for the county. And then I went back to the school as a school resource officer. So I'm not born and raised here. I'm actually from Cincinnati, Ohio, but Pulaski County has been my home since 2006. And I love this county.
Amen. Thank you so much. Regina, you're up. Give us a little bit of introduction and tell us about yourself.
Yeah, it's nice to be here. My name is Regina Utley. I'm originally from Alabama. I came here in 1997, where I discovered 2 careers, not even jobs. I got lucky and became an EMT and started working law enforcement. I started law enforcement in 1999 with the St. Robert Police Department. I've grown to love the community. I've kind of been a jack of all trades throughout my life. I've worked retail and fast food, and I've waited tables and grew up in garages and worked the fields back home for my uncle. So there's done a little bit of everything.
Oh, great. Well, thank you so much. We agreed upon the agenda will go like this. We'll have some discussions on the various agreed upon topics, which I have in my hand. Nobody's read them.
To hear you in here?
Oh, you can't hear me?
I cannot. Not well, anyway.
How about now?
Oh, dang.
Too loud? Wrong mic?
Can you hear him?
No.
How about now?
I can't hear you. I mean, I can kind of, but
how about
not
now?
through the headphones.
My mic seems to be working, just not your headphones. Let me check something real quick. We're going to be right back, folks. Let me get you on the be right back screen. All right, everybody, a little technical difficulty, but if you see the number in the middle of the screen, 573-408-0339, that's the number we'll use it to call in at the end of the discussions. So don't call that in because I'm not going to answer until the time is due. So stay tuned for that time. If you have questions you'd like to be posed to the candidates, add them to the Facebook or YouTube thread. We'll get to them as fast as we can. We may not get to them all. The candidates may have an opportunity to answer them at a later time. So with that, are we ready?
Yeah.
Regina, odd or even?
Even.
Even starts. Public safety and crime resolution. It means nothing. I just wanted to act like I was unbiased. It's just on your right hand. I had to give. As sheriff, if you are elected, what specific measures do you plan to implement to reduce crime rates in Pulaski County?
Well, there's two ways we can go with that. I mean, we've got community-oriented policing where we get the public involved and work with them hand in hand, and I like neighborhood watches and stuff to where they assist in keeping an eye on their areas and doing things, keeping their places, their neighborhoods well lit. Then there's the other side where you have problem-oriented policing, and that's where you have areas within your county that you get multiple phone calls for that you would spend more time shoot, my brain just went blank.
Disengaged?
No, you would spend more time answering those calls
Right.
in those areas. And the problem areas and problem-oriented policing is it kind of takes away from some other things, so you would have to get more of that involvement on that end.
Okay, thank you. I forgot to tell you, you only get 2 minutes, but you're doing good. You'll get a beaver.
I don't think I passed two.
No, you didn't. You didn't. You didn't go. So, Stacy, your same question. Shall I read it again?
Yes, sir. I agree with Regina wholeheartedly on the community-oriented policing, because that is our cornerstone of policing. To ramp that up, I've introduced, I talked about my COPS program, Civilians on Patrol, where I want the civilians in the county. It's a neighborhood watch on steroids. And I want people in each section of the county, each city of the county, I want them to be involved with my COPS program. And they're to watch over their neighbors, because that's what we've gotten away from in this county. We've gotten away from watching over. They don't want to get involved. I don't want to get involved with that, but we got to get back to that. With the community-oriented policing, we also have to have our deputies out there that understand what community-oriented policing is. All right, so they have to have the information readily available. So if somebody has an issue, so somebody has a problem, that we can refer them to the right people, right agency. So it all works hand in hand, but the community is the main source that we've gotten away from for the last several years, where we've tried to do it ourselves. And we need that. That's why I always say, giving the community their voice back. The community needs to trust in the sheriff's office and their sheriff, that when they call, they're going to get a deputy out there. They're not going to get a Dixon officer. They're not going to get a Crocker officer. Granted, we're tied up, but there's things to mitigate, such as communication, simple communication to whoever's calling if we're tied up. So it all encompasses community-oriented policing, and that's what we need to do to get back at doing that and doing it well.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any rebuttal? Any comment? No? Okay. Next question will go to Stacy. Based on what you just said about your program, how will you assess the effectiveness of your strategy? 2 minutes.
Well, the effectiveness is going to come from the citizens. I mean, that's we're going to get feedback from the citizens. We're doing good. We're doing bad. So with that, we take that program. We take, whether it's a COPS program or whatever program we're working with, or community-oriented policing. The community is going to be our main objective to implement this with. On top of that, when we get those calls, when we get those issues with the community, it's up to us to look into that and see what's going wrong, see what's going right, so we can sustain our strengths, and then we can improve our weaknesses. And there should always be improvement. We're not going to be 100%, green in strength over everything. Mm-hmm. So when the time comes, I mean, it's up to the sheriff and the staff to sit there and look and see and assess what's going on with the way we're reacting to the community, the way we're enacting with the community, and the way that we're patrolling, the way that we're talking to people, the way that we're passing out information and all that stuff, and then encompass it all, and then give the people a voice to come back and share their grievance, share their issues, concerns with a community hall, with a town hall meeting.
Great.
So that way we can get the information straight from the horse's mouth, and we can put that information straight out to them.
Okay, thank you. Regina, your turn. Well, how will you assess the effectiveness of your crime reduction strategies?
Well, as Stacy put out, you have meetings, but there's another way that you can do also, because sometimes people's issues or concerns or problems or complaints don't wait for a meeting that's maybe once every 2 weeks or once a month. But if you see or have knowledge that there may be some sort of conflict during a specific call, you can deal with it. You can make a phone call to the person that reported it, or the victim, or the witnesses. You can, in the process, you can view the body cam footage. You can talk to the deputy and find out what their perspective was in case there was some sort of miscommunication. But instead of waiting for a meeting, go ahead and make contact. And they've been really good. I've gotten a few phone calls where people have had concerns, and we've had conversations. So my phone rings off the hook. My door is always open. They come. They have a problem. I either go out and talk to them, depending on how private the matter needs to be handled, or I invite them back to my office. Either way, they get to dictate on how they want to meet and discuss the problem. So you can you make contact with them.
Okay.
Or, if they call you, spend the time talking to them. Because a lot of times, all they want to do is for you to hear their side of their story. That's all they want, is to be heard.
Right.
And understood. And a lot of times, that all it takes is just listening.
Okay. Thank you so much. Stacy, rebuttal, comment?
Yeah, I never said I was going to wait on a meeting. I said that was one way to hear from the public directly with their issues and concerns.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else?
No.
Next
That's
question
not what
goes
I
to
intended.
Stacy, going to you, community policing. What community engagement activities, initiatives do you plan to introduce or expand as far as community policing?
It's getting our deputies on the road. The sheriff needs to be on the road. The leadership needs to be on the road. That's the biggest way people see the sheriff on the road patrolling the roads to help out his or her deputies, and to stop in and talk to people, stop in and talk to businesses, stop in and talk to the community. They're cutting grass. We stop and talk to them. The deputies need to know they can do that, and I would hope I hope they are. I don't know if they are or not. I haven't worked at the sheriff's office in a while, but that's all part of communicating and getting out in the public eye, and getting on these county roads and talking to folks that haven't been talked to forever, patrolling roads that haven't been patrolled in forever. We got a lot of roads, 520 square miles. I mean, you're not going to get to every road on every shift, and I got that. But we need to spend our time out in the county where they pay their taxes for this sheriff's office to protect and serve them. Along with that, with the community-oriented policing, we need to prioritize our personnel. We need to put time into our personnel to train them, mentor them, shape them, so that they feel comfortable because as a police officer or law enforcement officer, you should never feel shy to talk to anybody. But we may have an officer that's can't communicate very well or has a hard time communicating. So we need to identify that to make sure that they're all they're comfortable with talking to the people out there that we're serving, as well as, like I said earlier, having that information readily available that we may not get a call on it, but hey, I got a friend that's she's a domestic violence victim, and what are some numbers that we can call? And I know the deputies used to have them cards. I don't know if they do now, but from the Women's Center, so that we give them a resource to.
That's 2 minutes. Your time's up. Thank you, sir. Regina, same question to you. What community engagement initiatives do you plan to introduce or expand? 2 minutes.
I think one of the things we ought to do is when we have public events is get more deputies out there to those public events, to walk around. And they're there for other reasons. They're there to meet the community and provide some sort of security if necessary. The other is also getting them into the schools, bringing the deputies into the schools. teaching them about internet access and what not to do and what to do, informing them. I mean, you got to start educating about drugs early. So bringing that back into the schools. There used to be a DARE program. That would be a great thing to get back and have law enforcement involvement. And meeting with these people on a neutral site. That way, not one person feels like they're intrusive, or the other person may feel intimidated. So kind of find a neutral ground for everybody to meet in the middle, and just have talks, and just and like Stacy said, stop by to talk to business owners, but get out there and start with the children. Start back into the schools. I know a couple of the deputies have been going through the schools out in the county and in different areas, and just making a presence.
Okay.
And the kids seem to enjoy that.
Okay, thank you. Stacy, rebuttal or comment?
No.
Okay, thank you so much. We're going to go to Regina. How do you envision strengthening the relationship between law enforcement and the community? And you talked a little bit about that, but I already got the question, so now I have to ask it.
So I have to answer it a second
Yes, you do.
time.
Well, it's a different question, phrased different. How do you envision strengthening your relationship between law enforcement and the community? 2 minutes, please.
It always goes back to the same thing. You have to rebuild the trust. And the more trust you have and the more effort you put into building it will be the more strength that you have that comes out of it. And, these times, it's been hard on the public and law enforcement these days, over the last several years. And there's this preconception or perception about what cops are, and then the reality of what cops are. And if
Pull a little closer.
pull it a little closer, yeah.
There you go.
So we have to get from over here and make people have them understand that not all cops are like this descriptive over here. And we did have a gentleman that did say, he's not from around here originally, but he just commented on how different the deputies at the sheriff's department are compared to where he is from. And had he been where he was from, there would have been a totally different outcome in this situation that had occurred. And he's just impressed, and every chance he gets to express that, and that's what we need to do more of. And I think if people step back a lot of times and watched how we try to handle situations and how we try to de-escalate situations and how many resources we do try to offer, and looked at a little bit of a bigger picture, they would see that, our law enforcement, not just our deputies, but a majority of law enforcement officers around the nation have the biggest hearts and will do whatever they can do to help you. And we have to get more of that out there.
Okay, thank you. Stacy, shall I repeat it?
Well, I agree with what Pulaski said, but the biggest thing that's been hounding us for a while is transparency. Transparency. We have to, when something happens, we have to put that out to the public. We don't have to give the details, but we have to let them know what's going on. We have to let them know that their sheriff's department is handling it. We have to let them know that, I'll use the Dixon School as an example. Right? They had that incident a couple weeks ago, and it just kind of died down. But no parent, a lot of parents in Dixon did not feel comfortable sending their kids to school. They didn't know what the sheriff's office was doing, what Dixon was doing, and Dixon has one cop right now, but the parents had no clue if they could send their daggone kids to school or not, because they didn't know if their kids were going to be safe. So we put that out there. Hey, there was a threat at the school, and here's how we're mitigating that threat. Here's how we're handling that. Here's what we're doing to help out with the security at that school. Just one example. But we just put something out and then we just let it drop, or we put nothing out at all and hopefully the public who has knowledge of it somewhere else, we just hope it dies down, which, okay. But as soon as something happens, whether it's in a jail, whether it's with a deputy, whatever circumstance it is, we got to let the public know that something's happened, something's going on, and here's what we're doing to fix it. Because that's where we lose the trust of the people, because they think we're just sweeping everything under the rug. which is not the case, but that's the perception. And as long as we have that perception right now, and we've had that perception for a while, then talking to all kinds of people all over this county, that was they don't trust the sheriff's office. They don't trust nobody in law enforcement. So there's a reason why, because they call us, we don't show up. They call us and they come out there and we do nothing about it. Incident in Dixon again, a deputy went out there. Just last week, I got a phone call from a guy. A guy ran through his yard.
2 minutes. Sorry, sir.
I'll come back
We'll come back to it. Regina, or you answered the question already? I got lost.
I answered.
Okay. Any rebuttal? You get 30 seconds or 90 seconds? I'll give you 60 seconds. You want to answer anything else?
No, I'm just going to say, if you have a problem, you need to call somebody that can address that issue. The issue that Mr. Ball just touched on, I don't think we've gotten a complaint about it. So it makes it kind of hard for us to do anything for you to trust us if you're calling somebody that currently isn't sharing that information, one, because if that's a problem, the sheriff's department needs to know about it so it can be taken care of.
Which complaint are you talking about?
I guess the one where somebody driving through their yard.
Yeah, I'll get to that.
Okay, I'm sure.
Stacy, rebuttal? 60 seconds, please.
No.
Okay, thank you.
I'll come back to it. It'll pop up somewhere.
Thank you so much. Next topic area is mental health and substance abuse. Who went first last time? I think
She did.
because Stacy, you're first. What role should the sheriff's office play in addressing mental health crisis within the community? 2 minutes, please.
Well, first off, we have a lot of people in this community, especially our churches, our faith organizations that want to help the sheriff's office. They don't know how they can help the sheriff's office. That's the biggest thing right there to me, especially with mental health and for our drug addicts. There are places we can send them. There's a church in Crocker, Amazing Grace, that takes them in. If they can't take them in, then they have resources that they can help us find to get them in for our drug addicts that want help. First off, they got to want help. Mental health. It's easier said than done, because if they refuse to go to the hospital, then depending on the circumstance, we can force them to go to the hospital, but we have to make sure that we're right, because they have rights. The mental health part is also with COMC and other agencies in our county that we can utilize to refer them to. But after we refer them, then what? What do we do after that? I mean, we're just going to give them hey, call this number tomorrow, and then, so, hey, do you have family around you? Find out who their family is, and get their family involved, and say, hey, here's the information we have that this person needs help. Give that card to that family member and make sure that they are on top of it. Make sure that they make the call and help them make the call to get the help they receive or they need. So it's been an issue for a long time, and it's gone unanswered. But it's a law enforcement problem most of the time, because by the time it becomes a problem to that extent, law enforcement is involved. We're law enforcement. We're not doctors. We're not counselors. We're not.
2 minutes, sir.
Okay.
You can come back to it later. Regina, would you like me to rephrase or restate
Go
the
ahead
question?
and restate it if you don't mind, please.
What role should the sheriff's office play in addressing the mental health crises within the community? 2 minutes, please.
Well, one of the roles, like Mr. Ball stated, by the time we get involved, it's pretty bad. You know, we have people that are either undiagnosed or diagnosed schizophrenics or bipolars that are self-medicating. So now we've created two issues in one person: mental health and drugs or alcohol. By the time they get to us, while we are working with them to detox, mental health is not an exact science, and medications, you don't know exactly which medication is going to work or what dosage is going to work. It could take months for these individuals to level out. The hospitals for mental health issues a lot of them have closed down. There's no really true place for them to go. We do, however, when we do have people that have these issues, we call counselors and stuff, therapists from Compass Health. We do have some that will show up immediately. The preachers and the ministry that has started coming in have started building relationships with the individuals that we do have. So when they do get out, if they don't have family here, they at least have some sort of support system that they can go to, and it's encouraged. So it's kind of hard for law enforcement to get into the mental health aspect of these things because we are not trained psychologists or counselors or therapists. But what we do is try to calm everything down and get the right resources for these individuals. And sometimes it's just hopefully getting a bed in a institution or a hospital somewhere for them that can help them.
Okay, thank you. I'll give you a warning. It'll be 1 minute. I'll give you 3 for 30 seconds. And I'll give you 1 for 10 seconds, just so you know how much time. So 1 minute, 30 seconds, 10 seconds.
Oh, did I go over?
No, you're perfect. I'd have stopped you talking. I would have just pulled the plug.
Bleep.
Stacy, any rebuttal, please?
Yeah, what I
seconds.
forgot to add with that was all of our deputies should be sit trained. The sit training. I've been through the sit training when I was SRO at the schools. They help our officers and a lot of our police officers, and I think some of our deputies are sit trained, CIT trained, and that training helps you recognize and helps you handle someone that has a mental health issue a little bit better than just Doug doesn't know anything about mental health. You just know what you see on TV or whatever, but gives you that training, gives you that background to see and to how to handle and talk and deal with that individual that's in crisis at that time. So that'll be it.
I'm kind of done. What's CIT?
CIT is Community Intervention Training.
Okay. I didn't know.
So
Thank you.
It's just another avenue, resource that the deputies and any law enforcement officer has, and it's I think it should be mandatory, and I will have my deputies go through that training.
Okay. Thank you. Regina, follow up?
No, I don't disagree with that.
Okay. Thank you so much. We're going to take a break for station identification and run an ad, please.
Are you in need of legal assistance? Look no further than the Prue Law Office. Our experienced attorneys specialize in family law, criminal defense, and personal injury cases. We are dedicated to providing personalized and compassionate representation to our clients. Located on the square in Waynesville, just across the street from the courthouse, call us today at 573-774-6444 or by email at pruelaw@.
All right, we're back. All right, we're getting into the bean counter area. This is the fun stuff. This is the stuff that I like. I got a comment there. What you say there from Rossi Ross? Some agencies do have weekly logs, which are pretty popular with the people in the community. It's a crisis intervention training. Thank you, Kayla. I appreciate that very much. And I didn't know that one. So thank you so much. And hey, we got the 28 viewers on the line, so we're going to switch to bean counting. And Stacy, you're up first. I got a moderator's delight question. What's the first thing with the budget are you going to do if you become sheriff?
First thing with the budget I'm going to do is we need to add more money into training. We need to add more money into our ammunition. One of the things that I want to do to cut costs in our budget is the average shop that we take our vehicle to get worked on is $110 to $140 for that mechanic to work on it. We got a nice, big, huge building that was built that we overpaid for when the jail was initially built. I want to turn that into our garage, and I want to have a full-time mechanic. County pay for a mechanic. That mechanic works on our vehicles, county vehicles, our commissioners' vehicles that are out there and changing their blades, changing their tires. He's a diesel mechanic. He's a regular gas mechanic. We don't pay the shop rates. We pay our rates. We can also add, because every vehicle in the county, every vehicle that goes to get serviced, they're all paying them shop rates.
1 minute.
So, I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good.
They all pay them shop rates. So we can cut that down. We can save money with all our agencies in the county. And then we can also, if Crocker wants to get a vehicle worked on, if Richland wants to get a vehicle worked on, they can do a contract with the county and they can bring their vehicle down and get it serviced. The other thing too is with that having our own mechanic in there, that's not only saving us money on our budget, but it's also giving ownership of that vehicle for that deputy. The deputy makes an appointment with the mechanic down there to get the oil changed, get the tires rotated, get the services, things like that. And in the long run, that's going to initially save the county money in my humble opinion. And talking with the commissioners, I think we can get there.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Regina, same question. What's the first thing, if you become sheriff, what are you going to do with the budget? 2 minutes, please.
The first thing I'd like to do is see where all the money is going out at, and if it's on contracts, see if we can't renew or find different contractors or vendors at a cheaper rate. And I understand inflation. The hardest part on a budget is you can plan it this year, and if inflation goes up, your budget's already messed up. So trying to pre-plan for some sort of inflation for the following years that are to come. I don't disagree with the idea that Mr. Ball has. That is a very good idea. But there's a lot of other areas that we also need to look at. Building maintenance, for one. We need, the jail is the department is over 5 years old. About that time it's when the warranties are going away. That's going to start eating up it's going to nickel and dime you. So there's got to be some kind of idea on how to prevent that from happening, preventive maintenance on the building, with bids coming in for those to do that to kind of keep the cost down.
Okay. Thank you so much. Stacy, any rebuttal or add on to your answer? The first thing?
No.
Okay, thank you so much. Now, same budget question going to Regina. What steps will you take to ensure transparency in the budget allocation and expenditures? 2 minutes.
First of all, the budget is you can be viewed by public access. It's not something that what do you call? I can't even think of the word that. But it's open to the public. The public has access to the budget. So there's really, if you know what you're looking at, you can find all those line items on the budget. But what I would like to do with the budget is to break down those items to where that somebody doesn't understand the budget knows exactly what that item is. Because now I think if I remember correctly, it just has numbers on it, a letter and a number, something to that effect. But I would like it broke down line by line, item by item. So if you walked in there tomorrow, you could look at it and you can say, oh, I know what this means, instead of looking at this code and not having any idea. So I'd like a little bit more, that's about as transparent as you can get, is them understanding what it is they're actually looking at.
Okay. Thank you so much. Stacy, same question. Shall I repeat it?
The budget needs to be put on an Excel spreadsheet. So that way, as the sheriff is going through his bills, because the sheriff controls the budget, the sheriff should be doing the budget. So as we're doing our monthly bills, and we had that Excel spreadsheet and the website that I want revamped to make it more user friendly and cleaner. We can put that monthly spending on the website on that Excel spreadsheet, and they'll see personnel. They'll see we're not gonna put who's getting paid what, just our bills and how that we're spending the money. So that way the public can see that we have our budget is $3 million for sales tax, and then $1 million plus for general revenue, and they can start seeing it, and they can start looking at each monthly budget to see how, because that's how I'm going to track it. I'm going to see where we're green at in February, where we're red at in February, and then minimize that within the next month for the next set of bills. See where we can move the money, see where we can put the money, see where we're going wrong, initially after that first year. I mean, that's the learning curve right there after that first year. And then the budget starts getting a little bit easier as time goes on, because now you know where that money is going, and you know how much to allocate for different areas.
Okay, great. Thank you. Rebuttal, Regina? Any commentary or follow-up?
Well, I just kind of have one question. We're going to go, even though I did say I agree with the whole shop setup, but what is the initial cost on that, and where's that money going to come from?
Well, the initial cost that'll come from the county. That'll something have to be discussed. But yes, there is going to be an initial cost. But in the long run, whether we have 1, 2, 3 mechanics, it's going to pay for itself, and then we're going to start seeing that money coming in from working on other vehicles, or just saving on the shop costs from paying a mechanic $140 to look at our vehicle and do work on it, on top of all and it's normal maintenance. I'm not talking changing engines or it's your normal basic wear and tears that we go to the shops right now to do. Tire rotations, brakes, things like that. So that's where but the initial startup cost, yes, there will be a cost, but that's something for everybody to sit down and look at and determine what we can afford.
Regina, follow up? 30 seconds?
No.
Okay,
Good, thank you.
I think we talked about it with both of you. One of the things I thought of was fuel savings if we had one fuel bill for the county, and everybody pays their own. That's maybe one of you, if either one of you win the election, which one of you are sure going to win the election. I just know that for sure. But I would look at that. I brought that up to the county commissioners too when they were visiting with us. Why don't we have one fuel bill for the county? I like the idea of the shop plan. And we had some comments. Bill Thompson, I'm pretty sure Treasury will break down the budget for you if you ask them. I've got to agree with both the candidates. If I have to have somebody read it to me, it's too complicated. And I've got a little bit of education, about 20 years experience in budget, and I can't make sense of the damn thing. So, and something about fleet. Bill Thompson, thank you so much for your comment. If the county would have approved the fleet package months ago, we wouldn't have to worry about the warranties. I don't know about that. Can any one of you comment on that?
Well, they went through one company trying to find a second company to do a fleet package. I don't know all the details on why it was denied. I have talked to one of the deputies that put the proposal together, that we were going to repropose it and come at it at a different angle. But the warranties on, I wasn't specifically, the new vehicles we have are not 5 years old. I was referring to the warranties on all the equipment in the building, the department, the office, and the jail. But yeah.
And when you're talking fleets, like a GSA fleet, what we have on post. Mm-hmm. So everybody, and the whole county, or just the sheriff's office would have.
That was just for the sheriff's office.
Again, maybe we look at one fleet package for the county, because I'm sure everybody has vehicles.
But you can find some fleet packages that will do dump trucks and dump trailers and stuff like that. So you have to have a minimum vehicle. I think it was 10. So even though if we can't get 10 vehicles for the sheriff's department, we can combine it as a whole and maybe get 1 or 2 new dump trucks.
Right.
But the offset on the cost is what's going to get you, because even though we buy these vehicles don't come equipped.
Right.
So you have to purchase all this equipment and have it all installed, which adds to the cost of each vehicle. But if you can find a way to save money in a fleet package that can go towards the equipment, then you're winning at the end.
Great, thank
because
you.
it does save on vehicle maintenance and stuff like that, because the vehicles are warranted.
Stacy, anything?
No, I will definitely be looking at a fleet package.
Okay, thank you so much. Anything else on the transparency of the budget? Okay, we're going to switch to training and professional development. I know that both of you are passionate on this. Stacy, you're going second. Regina first. What specific training programs do you believe are essential for law enforcement officers, specifically in the sheriff's department today?
Well, I don't think training is just specific for the sheriff's department. I think it's all for law enforcement officers, so it's kind of hard to break it down like that. But leadership training for one, diversity training, de-escalation training, all of that training is important in everything that we do. Now, some training may have a little bit more of a priority, but at the end of the day, it's all the training. The sad part about it is not all of our training is free. and it can cost up to $375 depending on the training for one individual. I know some of the things that we have done is we have sent people to, let's say, firearms instructor courses, so they can come back, and then we can train the department as a whole or surrounding departments. There are some training, like the active shooter training, you have to go through the actual active shooter course, then go back and train and do the train the trainer course, and then bring those individuals that we have sent for this instructor training and provide free training. All we have to do is pay for wages.
1 minute.
To everybody that's there. So the more people we get to go to these different trainings, the more instructors we have, and the more knowledge that we can train our own deputies and their surrounding agencies, however and whoever want to come and join us. And that could also bring some money back into the department also, because we're hosting the training.
Okay, thank you, Stacy. 2 minutes. Same question. Where was I? What specific training programs do you believe are essential for law enforcement officers, specifically the Sheriff's Department, but it could be either one today?
Yeah, I've spoke a lot about getting training back to our sheriff's office and bringing host agencies in and going around the community and getting other law enforcement agencies in there to help offset the cost. Leadership training is a big one. We need to. I want to grow our leaders from within. So once they become a corporal, once they become a sergeant, we need to be looking at leadership training for them. For the past couple of years, it seems like anybody that went to any training wasn't a deputy; it was a detective. We need to send our deputies to training. The deputies are the ones that need the training as well. So it's great that they got all that training, but our deputies need the firearm certification course. That I would like to have training for a DRE, a drug recognition expert. We don't have that in our county. It's a very hard school. Everything is 100%, but you get a couple of DREs on the road, tell you what drug you're on. So these DREs, that's a invaluable training for our sheriff's office that we can get back to. The other thing, not just. I want to have guard mount training before they come on the road. They're gonna sit through like a 15-minute block of instruction with the corporal or their sergeant, who's gonna give that training. And a big one is the daggone constitutional training. I want to get back to constitutional training for our deputies, because that's the sheriff's biggest priority, is ensuring that the citizens' constitutional rights are not violated. So I want to go over the first, second, third, fourth, fifth amendment that pertains to our citizens, so that our deputies understand a little bit more clear knowledge.
Great, thank you. Any rebuttal or commentary, Regina?
No.
Okay. We're going to take a station break for commercial by sponsors, by Regina specifically. Thank you so much, and here we go.
Regina Utley, an independent candidate for Pulaski County Sheriff, has nearly 25 years of dedicated service. She has a deep understanding of the community's needs and has built strong relationships. In her current role, she has conducted thorough assessments to identify and implement necessary improvements. Regina has served in various capacities, including reserve deputy, full-time deputy, and corporal, and has personally trained a K-9 for the department. Her leadership experience and familiarity with the Drug Task Force,
My cats might have been.
Well, here we go. I got the mic on. Careful now.
Oh, gotcha.
No, but you can see how the studio set up, how it's seating arrangements. We'll let everybody. We got a buffer, so we're watching on TV right from this camera. There we are. See, that's how it looks. I wanted to show everybody what that's like. So we'll go back. All right, getting back to the questions answered. Thank you so much for everybody staying tuned. We're up to 29 viewers. Benjamin, Kirk, Rudy, thank you for turning in. Good debate format. I appreciate that. I try my best, try to be as unbiased as I can. And I could not do it without the assistance of the internet with these questions. So now we're going to switch to technology and crime fighting. Technology and crime fighting. Regina, you're first. What specific I skipped that. What technologies do you see as critical for improving law enforcement effectiveness?
Computer science, because everything is done over the internet. We have just as many, if not more, internet crimes as we do other crimes. So having some kind of training and technological background, and I'm not it. I'm not even going to pretend to be it. But if you don't have it, at least know what your resources are, so you can bring what you need in. I know a lot of times we use the Highway Patrol, DDCC.
What's that is? Spell that out for me.
Oh, you would, wouldn't you?
It's a passion.
Yeah, I know, and I've said it for so many years I can't even remember what it stands for.
That's all right. You can
Just say Highway Patrol.
Highway Patrol.
that's
There we
it,
go.
that's it,
There you
there we
go.
go.
Thank you. Yeah, it's within the Highway Patrol, and we have for internet crimes against children. There's a task force for that. So if you can't provide or have those types of resources for computer crimes, at least know what your resources are and where they are and what they're capable of doing.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Stacy, same question. What technologies do you see as critical in improving law enforcement effectiveness?
I don't disagree, and we have a couple of detectives down there that do that, right?
Yes, to an extent, but sometimes we do have to bring in other agencies for assistance.
That's very important because yes, there's too much stuff going over the internet, going over Facebook, going over daggone all these apps, things like that, where we need to get into the phones and investigate and look at. But along with that, and that is a huge point. But at the same token, I want to look at officer safety too, because I know we just got some new radios in, but I don't believe any of them have a repeater. So to me that's officer safety. So we need to invest in some repeaters in each vehicle so that way their radios work. Nice radios. On top of that, I lost my train of thought. Repeaters. A way to track the deputies with their location of where they're at. Whether some of the granted it's a lot of money, but there's some scaled down versions as well where we can track and see where, if they are out of range, if we don't have radio contact, we know exactly where they are and we can send help when they come out there. So the computer crimes obviously is huge now. It's been huge for a long time, but officer safety aspect, I want to look into some of that as well to keep our deputies safe.
Oh, great. Thank you so much. Regina, any follow-up?
Well, we actually have an app that we use called Tango Tango that does track where you are. And it's an app that goes on your cell phone, and you can pull it up. It's like Life 360, so it does do tracking. We do have that.
Follow-up question from the moderator. Oh, it's me.
Oh.
Whose cell phone are we putting that on? The deputies, or is it going by the county?
Well, what would be good, don't want to put it on the deputies because if anything ever happens to it, but it would be good to provide everybody a work phone. There are some that do have it on their personal cell phones.
I was asked a follow-up question. Do you think it's pertinent, specifically in this day of court? I'm thinking sunshine laws, and I'll go to Stacy first on that every officer in the county have a government or a county cell phone.
I think they should for that reason right there, because once they use their phone and it becomes evidence, they've lost their cell phone until that time being. I still have the Tango Tango app. I have it on my phone, and I'm not connected to it now, but it's decent. But I'm talking not only using that, but I'm also talking about so the dispatchers and at the office can see what's going on out there and paint a picture for them as well. So yes, it should come to that, because far too time the deputy pull out his phone. Hey, let me snap that. Let me take that picture right there, and then now you've just put something on your phone that
Right.
could possibly get it seized.
Okay, great.
So that's a chance they take, but I wouldn't disagree that all deputies or law enforcement officer need a phone and to utilize.
Thank you so much. Regina, would you like to comment on that thought?
No, because I mean he's right. It's just more of a matter of convenience now than just pulling out a digital camera. You already have your cell phone in your pocket.
Sure.
It's in a pouch. It's somewhere on your person, and your camera's back in your vehicle somewhere. So out of habit, you just grab your cell phone, you just take a picture, and yeah, it can get seized or confiscated in the evidence, and you may or may not ever get it back.
Mm-hmm.
Second moderator's delight. Going to Regina. Does every officer in the county have their own county email address?
Yes, they do.
Okay, same. Does you think that's a good thing? Is it like an @sheriffsdepartment.com?
It is.
Okay.
It is.
Do you have any follow-up? Think that's a good thing?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. Because I always experience people using their own private stuff. Going back to technology, going to, who is that? Stacy first? I can't remember. It doesn't matter. We'll go Stacy now. How do you address concerns about privacy and civil liberties when implementing new technologies?
Are you talking about anything specific with technology? I mean,
more like cell phones and the technology in the office, and making sure that the violation of civil liberties, whether it be in the jail, arrest, procedure, stuff like that.
well, I mean, once those phones and things are taken into evidence, if we need to get into the phone, then we should be doing a search warrant. We just can't go through their phone unless they give us permission. They gotta fill out the paperwork, and they gotta sign it saying they give us permission.
Okay.
So no, we should not be handling any evidence or getting any type of identification from their phone without some type of search warrant or consent.
Okay. Thank you, Regina.
Well, we got a lot of things that we use. We use body cams every time we go into a house too. So, we're kind of, I would say we're kind of protected on, but the videos and stuff aren't releasable to the public without going through the proper channels. So there could be some things that some people would consider as a civil violation. So it has to be handled appropriately. So it's not. Yeah, I really don't. I don't have.
Okay. Any follow-up on that one? I'm not above stupid questions, but I blame AI for that one. That was not mine originally. Now we're going to switch to emergency response and preparedness. Now, we both talked about this multiple times. We talked from prior episodes. We'll go to Regina. What improvements do you propose for the county's emergency response protocols, specifically when it comes to the Sheriff's Department?
Well, like I said, we can't keep it down to one department, because if an emergency happens somewhere throughout the county, we're going to have every law enforcement officer. There is going to be a complete and total 100% on call, all call. So, and as I think the last time we discussed about this, is to start training with all these different agencies, to include EMS, fire department, and get an OEM involved. It wouldn't even hurt to get with the utility companies, because at some point, depending on the situation, they're going to be the ones that you're going to have to call out. It's either going to have to shut down water, they're going to have to shut down power, So it all boils down to everybody learning each other, knowing each other, training together, and everybody going out and looking at all these high-risk places. And as sad as it is, our school is on that list. So every officer, every EMT, every paramedic, every firefighter, and Office of Emergency Management should go to the schools within this county and walk those halls. Whether you set up an appointment on after hours so you're not alarming the children, or on the weekends, but everybody should know the layout of the schools. Utility buildings. Gascasage is a huge building. If you have to get up in there and search that building by yourself at 2 o'clock in the morning, I am telling you, you are going to get lost the minute you walk past that office area. Go check those. Laclede Electric. The post office. Some of our post offices aren't very big, but you still don't know where the corners are. So everybody should be doing these things because it's not a matter of if it happens; it's just a matter of when.
Okay. Thank you, Stacy. Same question. What improvements do you propose to the county's emergency response protocols?
I've talked extensively about this over the past year and a half, but I've talked with the OEM, and the good thing is in Phelps County, granted it's going to be in February or March sometime, but they're doing a full-blown emergency services type of incident. And that's going to be something nice to see because we've tried that in the past to do that here, but it wasn't very, nobody wanted to play. So training is a must because you can't do anything without training. Because you look at the high school alone, one way in, one way out. Something happens at the high school, and it is a cluster. It'll be hard to even get, with all the parents wanting to get their kids, it's going to be hard to get emergency vehicles there. What do we do then? So at some point, this county is going to have to come together, and it doesn't have to be a school; it could be a church. Because from there, then we can look at other things. But the plans for every school should be in one central location. Sheriff's Office, Office of Emergency Management, because either one, but we should have plans for every school. I agree. The police officer should be going through the schools, but you go through the school and you're not going to learn that daggone school. The high school, they're huge. Crocker is a zigzag. Lakeway is a zigzag. So you may not have that deputy that it may be night shift. When this stuff happens. So having the basic plan and basic layout of the schools in one central location. So if something happens, churches, whoever will give us their plans and layouts, I think is something that needs to happen. But we also need to bring everybody together, all the key players together, from emergency management wise to the electric and why, that we all need to come together at some point and sit there and map X a daggone plan for something in this county so we can see who's doing what.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Any rebuttal?
No, I just want to add one thing though too.
Okay.
Since we do have the railroad that runs through here, Burlington Northern should also be, a part of that plan also because it's in rural areas. You never know what's going to happen.
Got a message from John Smith. Active Alert is a cell phone app used by a lot of agencies. I can't answer that or speak to that.
I think that's what OEM has started utilizing. I think they brought it in almost 2 years ago.
And I've been using it. As a matter of fact, that was going to be the moderator's delight. How is it possible, or let me ask you this theoretically, would it be a good solution for the sheriff's department to have a capability to be able to alert the public by using that same system? Regina.
Yes, and that's,
And why don't we, if you know?
Well, I don't have the answer to that.
Okay, that's fine.
But we were just looking at a Zoom call this afternoon with an app. The expense of those apps is one reason on why. And I've yet sat down and talked to Hector, and I don't know if he's had these conversations on using that same app for law enforcement. I know they sent out boil warnings to different cities and weather alerts. I don't know of the ability that this app has, and one is because I haven't asked.
Yeah, I actually used it. Stacy, your thoughts on using it?
Yeah, I have the app, and it's notified me a few times with different things, and I think it would be a great tool for that process because, an example, we had a manhunt in Waynesville not too long ago, and it happened before school was out, but none of the schools were notified. It happened. It was still going on when the school let out, and bus drivers taking our kids all over this daggone county, and we're still looking for this guy who they finally caught at a football game, or in front of the high school while that football game was going on. So an app like that would definitely be beneficial to.
All I can say is in a situation, I hate to interject, but I say everybody looks at their phone at the same time, looking for this person.
Yep, exactly.
Boom.
Yeah.
Especially
during the school day when things like that are going on, because you never know what's going to happen. And that's a bad situation.
I can personally say I tried to engage Hector, and he never responded. So maybe whichever one of you gets elected, I hope that you and the county commissioners can also utilize that system for not just OEM stuff, but also departmental stuff and alerts and announcements, because I think it's a great way to share information. Going back to Stacy, you're up. How will you ensure that your team is adequately prepared for natural disasters and other emergencies?
Well, it's all part of planning. It's all part of training. There's certain training and I've talked to Hector about this. Certain training that we can get our deputies through. There's certain training that we can get civilians through with my COPS program. Getting some of these civilians that want to volunteer and want to help out in times of natural disaster, because that's essentially where I would call everybody out in the COPS program from all over the county. And you get 30, 40 people out there that have been through this training, that, you know, they got their chainsaws, they got their side-by-sides, they got their four-wheelers, they got their horses, depending on whatever emergency we're talking about. That right there, I mean, now we've got 20, 30 civilians that are trained up, and it's free training. We got some deputies trained up, but the deputies rolling that is making sure that we're safe and everybody's safe. We've got roads barricaded, blocked off. The police department's working the cities, and we're working the counties, especially with the floods. We got to mark off all the roads. So that's the initial. And then once things start settling down, that's when we get into it. But the deputies are there just like looting and things like that in these counties, like Devil's Elbow flood that we had several years ago. I worked 2 floods that here so far, and I can't believe the river would even get up that daggone high. But it's just a tragic event. But training and preparedness is going to be the key to coming together and defeating that.
Thank you so much. Regina, any follow-up?
I would like to include.
Well, I got to ask you the question. What am I thinking? You still got
go
a chance. How will you ensure that your team is adequately prepared for natural disasters and other emergencies?
Well, adding to what Mr. Ball stated, we would have to train with the fire department too, because they're the ones during floods and stuff have the boats that would be on the water. It's as sad as it is. We lose people every year during the floods, and most times it's people that are aware of these low water areas that are the issue. But we would have to train with the fire department. The public wants to be involved. So yes, if you can utilize the public in searches when things have settled down, or there's a safe area to where nobody has the risk of getting hurt, then utilize those volunteers. There's volunteers out there every day, all day long, and make sure that they're training with the deputies and the fire department, because there are times that working on the ambulance, we've gotten in the boats with the fire department because our patient was out on a sandbar somewhere because they just got electrocuted because of lightning. So you still have to utilize all department training with all the other departments within the county at the same time. But volunteers are always willing to come in and help, and they want to learn.
Okay, thank you. Stacy, any rebuttals? Add to it? I interviewed a candidate for Camden County Sheriff. God bless me if I can't remember his name, but I can't. But
Is it Patrick?
Patrick Cochran.
Cochran, yes.
And one thing they do is, like JROTC, they have in their high school is like a police academy. What's your thoughts on something like that for Pulaski County?
I would love to have that eventually. Just right now, it's not doable at this current time.
Okay.
We got to get the sheriff's department to it. We got to get the sheriff's department running satisfactory before we can even think about anything like that.
Okay, great. Thank you. Your rebuttal, your thoughts on that?
I mean, I do think it's a great idea, but I don't think we're operating less than satisfactory.
Well, I got to get an applause in there. Both of you answers. It's the exact same answer. You can't hear it, but they can. Thank you so much. But I thought it was a great idea, and I thought it's something we should look at in the future, one of those long-term activities. Transparency and accountability. Regina, you're at. What policies will you put in place to ensure accountability within the sheriff's office?
Well, if you're abiding by policies, you're not getting in trouble to worry. Okay, sorry. So if you're abiding by the policies, then you don't have to worry about getting in trouble to be held accountable for anything. So there is a disciplinary process for accountability. and you have to follow it. Not one single person within the department is above breaking the rules.
How are those policies communicated? Oh, it's got a two-part question. I'm sorry.
Oh, how they're still in the process of upgrading policies right now, but they are kept on the computer in a shared drive once they're completed, and then there is a hard copy in the office.
And how do the deputies, or how are, let's say, in processing of a new deputy in the sheriff's department, how would I become aware of this policy so that I know that there's evidence that I've been told this policy?
Because you would have to sign that you
Okay.
read these policies.
Okay. Stacy, you want me to read the question again?
Yeah.
How will you, what initiative, well, let me get back here. What policies will you put in place to ensure accountability within the sheriff's office?
Well, I think that's been a huge problem the past couple of years is accountability, because things happen in that sheriff's office where nobody's held accountable. And it's ultimately up to the sheriff to hold people accountable. If you don't hold yourself accountable, because who holds the sheriff accountable? The citizens of this county. If you're not walking the line and holding yourself accountable, then you're not going to be able to hold anybody else accountable. Or if you don't hold them accountable, it's because you don't really give a crap. I'm not saying either one of those are the case, but I think accountability has been non-existent for a while. Having worked there and seen some of the stuff, it's and this accountability thing. And I mean, I got to ask Regina. And I'm just going to bring it out. I mean, you're going to hold people accountable when you didn't hold yourself accountable in Crocker.
I held myself very accountable in Crocker.
I mean, a deputy or an officer almost died from a emission leak in the vehicle, and you took no responsibility for it.
I did take responsibility for it, but I didn't create that problem. But I did send her where she needed to be. I started the appropriate paperwork. I didn't have anything to do with that. That car had been serviced twice after the second turbo went out. So I held myself accountable, and I took my part of it, and I provided the proper paperwork on the maintenance of these vehicles that were done after I came there.
Well, when anyone gets injured, you do a workman's comp,
Which was done immediately.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying it's.
But accountability, instead of you wanting to bring this out here like this, you could have come and asked me at any given moment. You heard one side.
Look.
You heard one side, and we could have
No,
talked about it any given day.
I've heard a lot of sides, but I'm just we're talking about accountability.
Right. So let's talk about accountability. The day at Hogs and Frogs, I approached you, and I had found out that there had been deputies that were taking your cards. What did I do?
You
What
came
did I
up
say
to me.
you? I came up to you, and I apologized to you.
You did.
So
but
is that accountability, or is that the lack of?
That's one part of accountability.
Okay.
You held but you weren't responsible for that.
But I didn't know that at the time.
Well,
Not until you told me that had already been taken care of. I did not know that until you made that statement.
But
But I held myself very accountable in Crocker, and I'm not going to argue about it. If you want to have a conversation about it, we'll have a conversation.
Well,
But
there's
hold on.
people
You brought it up. You're right.
that need to know.
There are people that need to know.
I mean, you've had 3 months to run.
3 months to run what?
3 months to run your campaign, and I mean, nobody knows. I've been running for a year and a half, almost 2 years.
You're right. You have, and nobody's taken that away from you.
But people need to know what's going on. Will you hold yourself accountable?
If I'm accountable, you're absolutely right. I will hold myself accountable. But there are others in other areas that need to hold themselves accountable instead of making it look like I'm the only one that needs to do so.
Let's transition to the next question. Regina, you're up. How do you plan to communicate with the public about issues of transparency within the Sheriff's Department?
Well, I've thought about this a lot, and one of the things that I keep coming back to is when JB was sheriff.
A little bit closer, please.
When JB was sheriff, he did a weekly it was Raymond Rivard. I can't remember the name of the format that he used, but he did a weekly article that for everything that went on through the sheriff's department that week, and his favorite saying at the end of his article was, "We'll leave the lights on for you." And I've sat back and I remember reading those every week, and he did. It was a really good thing because the public had a lot of access to it, and they understood what was going on throughout the week, and it went out on Fridays. So I would bring that back, and not necessarily on a Facebook is one forum that can be used, but there's other open forums now than there was back in 2003 or 2007. But that always seemed to work really well for the department. The public and the community really seemed to enjoy reading his commentaries on this, and it worked really well. So I would like to reintroduce that.
Okay. Thank you, Stacy. Same question. What is your plan to communicate to the public about issues of transparency?
Talking to the public.
Yeah.
Just getting out and talking to them. Letting them know what's going on. Answering their questions truthfully and honestly. Have an open door policy. If somebody comes to the sheriff's office to see the sheriff, if I'm not there, then somebody calls me. If I'm there, they're invited back to the office to talk to me. None of this say, well, not here, or whatever excuses that are given. But the sheriff needs to have an open door policy. The sheriff, every citizen in this county that's elected the sheriff, whether you elect them or not, whether you voted for the sheriff or not, anybody that wants to talk to the sheriff has a right to talk to the sheriff because he is the elected official for this county.
Okay, great. Thank you. Regina, rebuttal? No. Okay, thank you so much. Last question for me. What specific partnerships and collaboration efforts between the sheriff's office and other law enforcement agencies are necessary to be successful in this county? Regina.
Can you read that again?
I sure can. Actually, I kind of tagged them up, but how do you plan to foster collaboration between the sheriff's office and other law enforcement agencies surrounding the county and within the county?
Well, we can start off with informal meetings, get to know each other. If we've never met, introduce ourselves. Plan different get-togethers in different locations, so it's not just at the same place at the same every time. That way, you can get the different people that may or may not be able to come. Try to plan it around other schedules. So if individuals are working this shift, you do your next meet and greet or whatever you want to call it on a different day where the other shift that would be working would have the opportunity to show up and get to know other individuals. I know years ago we had set up a real big barbecue down here at the park. It was right after Lifeline came in with their helicopter up at Mercy. And we had all emergency services down there. The helicopter came in, they landed, the kids got to play with that. And it was fire, and it was EMS, and it was law enforcement, and the flight crew. So I would like to start doing more of that within the county, and yet again, still under the same premise of going to different locations in the county to do these things. Because as the sheriff's department, we have a little bit more freedom because we can go anywhere in the county. But if we went and done these things in the city of Richland, then the Richland officers would be able to attend if they were working, and just kind of go around the county doing this and bringing everybody together.
Thank you so much. Stacy, same question. How do you plan to foster collaboration between the sheriff's office and other law enforcement agencies internal to and external to the county?
Well, I've already talked to the sheriffs in our adjoining counties and about training and doing things together as far as that goes. As far as within the county, we need to have a relationship with all the police departments, all the personnel. We need to be training with them. We need to invite them out to training. But one thing I wanted to, as far as fun and having fun and doing things that can do good things for this county is beers and bogeys, someplace like that, and having like law enforcement versus firefighters, because we both, well, on a different level, we like each other, we love each other, but we hate each other.
Sure.
Firefighters versus cops. So, and maybe we invite whoever wins that round that now Richland PD comes in, or we have EMT come or EMS come in. But it's going to be a money raising event for Shop with the Cops to raise more money because I'd like to see more kids get on that list for Shop with the Cop. So as far as fun, that's one of the ideas that I thought about. But other than that, talking with our people, maybe we need to get back to having that. We used to have a meeting every month it used to be at St. Robert PD. We even had Fort Leonard Wood folks come in, but we had Waynesville, St. Robert Sheriff's Office, Fort Leonard Wood folks, anyone else that wanted to come in that part of emergency management or anything, and we'd sit there and discuss issues going on between us and the fort and how we can help each other out.
Okay, great. Thank you. Regina, would you like to add to your answer? Well, that wraps up the questions that I have. Only feedback that I have is regarding gaining efficiencies within the budget. And we already talked a little bit about that, leveraging the size and scope of the contracts, whether it be fleet. And I was also thinking about maybe I don't know how the municipalities work with fuel and vehicles and fleets, but you buy bulk, you save money. Maybe there's an opportunity there for cost savings when you engage the other municipalities. So if you have a question for Stacy or Regina right now on the phone, 573-408-0339, make sure it's professional, polite, and punctual, and we're a professional forum here, so if you have a question, call it in. Otherwise, I'm going to put it on hold for a second, and we're going to be on timeout we'll keep the line open for about 5 minutes. Benjamin, thank you so much for your comments, everybody. Appreciate the right to education. I can't agree with you more. Disaster relief. I'm reading ahead of you because it's a little bit faster. Guns and hoses, okay.
Oh, that's right, guns and hoses.
Again, if you have a question you'd like to have and come on the air, 573-408-0339. We're going to give you another 2 minutes before I shut it down. There we go. Let's see if I can make this work. Doug Fowler here from Show Me Streamcast. Who I got on the line?
Linda Burgess.
Okay, what's your question?
I'd like to know how they plan to implement the budget and all of the training that they're going to do. I know they've said some of it can be put online, and how they're actually going to get that implemented to where every individual in that building, jailers, dispatchers, can get the training they're needing to better our community.
So I want to know how are you going to, let me make sure I got your answer right. You want to know how they're going to put the budget online so everybody can read it, and how they're going to ensure everybody gets the training they need, ma'am?
No, I'm wanting to know where they're going to come up with the money.
Oh, where are you going to come up with the money for both of those?
For what? Putting the budget
Putting
online?
the budget online.
Well, the budget can go online on the Pulaski
Not
County
online.
website.
Oh,
No,
That
for
shouldn't be
training.
an extra
hold on a
cost,
second.
that's
She's
already-
talking. Go ahead and say that again.
No, not to find the budget online. It's already online with the county clerk right now.
Right.
What I'm asking for is, how are you going to come up with the money for enough training to be done for everyone other than online training? So every employee down there gets trained. That the jail staff needs to be trained for weeks at a time, not just put into the field. I mean, how are you going to get the money for that? I'd love to know.
I got you. Thank you so much for your call.
Okay.
Well, no, how are you going to get the money to cover the training costs associated with training with everybody down in the office, not just online training? Regina?
That's where we're gonna have to go back into the budget and set more of a cost, or.
I'm sorry.
forgetting.
I'm going to nag you.
That's okay. That's where we would have to go and reset the budget on the training, is figure out ways to increase the budget on training.
Okay. Stacy?
There's money available. We have to find that money within the budget of where we've underspent to add some funds to the training, because that is huge. If we don't have the funds, I've put it out, and hold me to the fire. I will pay for training for a deputy out of my own damn pocket before to get them the training they need. I obviously can't pay for everybody, but I will take money out of my own pocket and pay for that training to get them the training that they need.
Okay.
I've said it before, and I say it again, and I'm saying it right here.
Thank you so much. Regina, any follow-up?
No.
Any other questions out there? I'll go down to the bottom. This Joe Payshon. Hope I got your name right. Thank you for first. Thanks everybody for logging in. We got a lot of viewers. 34. It's not only the high school egress. It's the whole pickup and drop off of the middle school. It is unsafe. There is a way with some road work to have much better system. Seriously, this needs to be looked at. It's dangerous. I don't know. I'm sure you guys.
It's the same. It's worse than Crocker because Crocker's order of 17. So yeah, those are issues that do need to be addressed.
And I think when I was talking with the commissioners, they're in the reactionary level. They just fix it as they can if they have money, But hopefully
they got money now.
They got money now. Well, it's coming. It passed, but it's coming. Money's coming. Any other questions out there? 573-409-0339. We'll get you on the air. Well, we're going to wrap it up. Thank you, everybody, for coming in. Check for the answers later. No clue. Yes. Oh, absolutely. My apologies. Regina, I'm going to let you go first with closing.
Go first since
Okay, he brought it up. Please do, Stacy.
Well, hey, first off, this is a debate, and things should come out in the debate. Not taking anything from Regina. You're in my prayers. It takes a lot to come out and put yourself out there. And I know. I mean, I'm right there with you. So you are definitely in my prayers, and you're doing your best, and I commend you on that. So I don't want to take that away from you. But the reason that was brought up because I think there is some circumstances because I've talked to other people. But beyond that, that's what this forum's for. So you didn't like me before, you hate me now. That's fine. On another note, to the citizens of Pulaski.
Well enough to hate you.
I know we don't know each other, but as far as that goes, Pulaski County, I just want to remind you, November 5th, get out there and vote for Stacy Ball. I believe and wholeheartedly feel that I am the best candidate to be your next Pulaski County Sheriff. And I also want to say that my leadership team is now developed, so it's going to be me and my chief deputy is going to be Rex Larson. And I think we're the best team to run this county and bring the county, the sheriff's office to a level that we haven't seen before. And I wholeheartedly believe that. And if you don't, and give us a chance. Let us show you what we can do. Because I see bright things for the Pulaski County Sheriff's Office. And I hope you get out there, and I hope you read my stuff online, read what I've been putting out for my plans, because my plan is more than a 4-year plan. My plan is a 5, 6, 7, 8, 12-year plan. So read it. I mean, I've tried to simplify some of the areas, especially on my Facebook page. But you read it and you see what I want to do for this county, and I hope you get out there and vote for me on November 5th.
Thank you so much, Stacy. Regina, your time. Closing comments, please.
Well, I appreciate the prayers. We all need all the ones we can get. But being a resident of this county since 1997, I've seen a lot of things. I've met a lot of people. I've gone through a lot of loss with individuals in this county. I personally have had a lot of growth and improvement in my lifestyle and the way and my careers. And I raised my children here. I've seen this county grow and grow and grow, and at the end of every day, I'm proud of it. I am absolutely proud of it. I'm proud of the growth in this county, and I'm proud of the people that participated in this and thought well enough to bring their businesses here to provide this growth. So kudos to you. I can't tell you what one thing makes me the best candidate for this other than this county is in my heart. And at the end of every day, I do everything I feel is right in my heart. And I have the ability to listen. I have the ability to be flexible. I can be diverse. I can change. I'm not an oak tree. I can bend with the wind and do what needs to be done. So, yeah, Yeah, I've been here for 25 years. I've been at the sheriff's department. I've seen growth in the sheriff's department, and I've seen good changes, and I've seen that more changes need to be made to get this department where you, as this community, would like to see it. So yeah, give me the opportunity, and I can show you what I can do in the next 4, 8, or 12 years. What the good Lord's willing to give me. So on November 5th, take the chance and vote on me, because I've always been here for you, and I'll continue to be there for you.
Thank you so much. I do have a caveat question. Bill Thompson, I'm sorry I missed your question, but we'll go to Stacy. What is your biggest fear if you are elected sheriff?
My biggest fear. Wow, I haven't thought of any fears. I mean,
that's a deep question.
Yeah, but my biggest fear is man.
What a great question. Thank you, Mr. Thompson.
I mean, my mind just don't think like that. It doesn't. I mean, I've held so many leadership positions. I mean, this is nothing more than me being a first sergeant again. Right. And managing folks, managing the budget. I mean, that's what I've done. I can't. I got to go away with something. I got to say something. So probably my biggest fear would be letting y'all down. I mean, that's not in my heart to do. And every leadership position I've held, I've done it to the best of my ability, and left a legacy. So my biggest fear is probably just letting y'all down and not leaving a legacy that the next sheriff can build upon.
Thank you, Stacy. I appreciate it. Regina?
I'm just going to flat out say it's fear.
Yeah.
My fear of failing. So, I don't have it in me to fail, but every stepping stone you take in your life, as you go through life and your careers and raising your children, every day you're afraid of failing your child or your boss or your coworkers. Well, now it's fear of failing the community. So if I'm afraid of failing, I am less likely to do it. That's going to prevent me from failing.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much to both of you. Everybody, I appreciate everybody chiming in. We had a record turnout today. Make sure you like, follow, and share our show on YouTube and Facebook, and we're on Twitch as well. What's it called? What's a TikTok? TikTok doesn't allow me to put it on for my MacBook, but I can with my other stuff. So thank you so much. Appreciate everybody chiming in. Like, follow, and share. Thank you to the both of you. Thank you.